So moving on to our next location around the world, I find myself in India, and our leader there is Gaurav. Welcome, Gaurav.
Thank you, Stuart. Hi, everyone. Those who don't know me, my name is Gaurav Yadav. I have been with Elliott Scott for 4 years, first 2 years in Singapore, and then I moved back to India in late 2020, towards the end of 2020, to start up Elliott Scott here. And we have been running India operations for nearly 2 years now, and it has been a really interesting journey so far.
It has. I suppose just to highlight to people, so we obviously recruit in India, and that's the team that you run, but you've also started a research function in India for us as well, haven't you?
Absolutely. So we have our research function here in India, and our India team is now sitting at 21 employees, which is the largest for us globally. And it is such a pleasure. I'm so glad to see members here from our team India. They're supporting our global offices, and they're doing a fabulous job. They are of a great value add, and of course, it complements to the business that we are running here. From India, we are also we cover India and emerging markets, as well as we have our team that supports our global offices.
Yeah, it's I have to say it's been fabulous actually, the people there that we now have, and to see sort of how that's grown over the last couple of years is pretty amazing. But I suppose, look, the key part of what we do and what you do is we recruit in India, and that's what I think sometimes we forget in terms of sort of our core product. But if we reflect back to say 2022, Gaurav, what would you say? What were the sort of trends, and where did you see most of the hiring for you in India?
To be very honest, to be in layman's term, it was a bit of a challenging year. And when I say challenging, it was a heavy candidate-driven market. And when it is a candidate-driven market, it takes a lot of effort in terms of managing the expectations, managing client expectations. But when we started 2022, we did see a huge spike in HR business partnering roles, which is still continuing, I would say. And as well as, apart from business partners, there was a huge demand for talent acquisition managers. And I'm pretty sure there will be many people who can resonate with me. It was tough time. It was a tough time to recruit talent acquisition managers locally in India. It kind of changed, to when we moved towards the end of last year. So of course, TA roles, they were kind of put on the hold. So some there were like many different reasons to it. Some organizations feel that the funding, which came from Western Hemisphere, US and UK and other European countries, dried up. So there are a lot of startups which were struggling. And
yep.
Whenever there's the organization or any industry that struggles, first impact on HR team from HR perspective would be on talent acquisition positions. So we did see a bit of a reduction in TA roles towards the end of last year. But having said that, tech industry was going through some tough times, some tough challenges. But of course, there are other industries like travel and hospitality, and there are various other, even manufacturing. These industries, kind of filled in the void, that the tech sector created. And other good things, for example, Apple moving their production to India created direct 50,000 direct jobs. In addition, there were 100,000 indirect jobs as well. So there was, in terms of manufacturing, that sector picked up. So yeah, it is still. I do feel that towards the end of last year, people were moving away. The tech sector was struggling because of the global environment, but there were other industries, which picked up.
Just talk us through a little bit about what happens in India when you sort of advertise, and how many applications. So I think this is something I think our audience maybe don't know, like about what recruiting sometimes in India is genuinely like. Because if we were recruiting in, say, Singapore or Hong Kong, we might put an ad up and we'll get like a few people that will apply, and we might know them, that kind of thing. But what's it like in India?
Towards the start of last year, when we advertised talent acquisition manager kind of roles, we used to receive like 200-300 CVs. The number was this was a much lower number.
Yeah.
Now, if I advertise a talent acquisition manager role today, I can assure you, will receive, at least 1,000 respondents, applicants, over
Wow.
24 to 48 hours. And another example is the head of HR role. It is a senior position. We advertise this head of HR role for one of our clients, and I have received more than 5,000 applications at this point of time. I have gone through 2,600 CVs. I still have about 2,400 sitting in my inbox, and
Wow.
after that I couldn't take it. I had to take it off. Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. And just on that then, so let's say you get 1,000 applications, which is a crazy number regardless. How many of those are directly relevant for the job that you're hiring? What percentage would you say?
Less than 0.5%, I would say.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, it is. That's why it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy to screen through those 1,000 people to see that out of 1,000, less than 5 people would be relevant to your role. But of course, we do give equal consideration to all the applicants. We try to reach out to as many people as we can, but reaching out to 1,000 people, all the applicants, it is not physically possible for us at this point of time. Yes.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and especially when a lot of them are not relevant as well, which makes it particularly difficult. But I think one of the interesting things I think will happen to 2023 for you guys is with this sort of global economy, especially in the West being a little bit uncertain and a few job cuts coming. I think we could see quite a lot of jobs actually being put in India into what was regarded as a low-cost location from a sort of a higher cost location. So I think jobs in Europe or the US and companies will start to look at that and think, do I need it in a high cost country, or can we put it with good talent in India? I think that's something that we'll see. But just to explain, Gordon, you're based in New Delhi, but we recruit across the country there as well, don't we?
So a majority of the jobs, the work we do happens in Mumbai and Bangalore, and there are other locations as well across India. So I would say, even though we sit here physically in New Delhi, the proportion, the amount of work that we do would be about 20% of entire country.
And I think you have a question for me as well, don't you?
Absolutely. One question I wanted to understand from you, if there's anything that you personally take away from season 4 that you have implemented in your way of working this year.
Yeah, do you know what? I thought about this because I was very fortunate to get a little bit of advanced warning on the question. So I had a little think about this, and people on the podcast would have heard me talk about this thing that I wear, the whoop, which I think that would need to give me some credit and maybe some advertising rights because I seem to mention it quite a bit. But that has meant I've focused a little bit more with regards to sort of my sleep. And when we were recording series 4, I was chatting to Thierry Machetti at the Resilience Institute, and we were talking about sort of the trends and how sleep is so important for people going forward. And it's something that I have to say I've probably never focused too heavily on it, except for probably the last year when it started to be a much bigger part of my life, to try and make sure that I'm either getting good quality sleep or I'm getting at least enough sleep that's going to keep me going positively the next day. So that's probably one where I genuinely listened to, I suppose, the advice that Thierry was giving and the research that they found, matched it with maybe what I'm doing personally with the sort of the group, and tried to take that away.
Would you consider it to be AI taking over human?
I don't think so. I don't think it's taking over. What I do think though is enhancing my sort of my capability. It's funny, isn't it? I think generally in your sort of mental well-being whether you're tired or not. However, sometimes you need somebody to almost tell you, and I feel that's what this does for me. It tells me when I'm sort of run down, and actually, as I said, previously, I used to try to sort of almost run through the brick wall and just keep going. Now I sort of have something that says, no, I've got to just get some sleep, and I need to work on that first. Then I can run through the brick wall, if that makes sense.